Hi James, it's me. So I just wanted to point out a few quick things on your PA High landing page. If you're handing it over to your guys to change stuff, then it's worth changing a few little things. Just because it should have a reasonably significant change on your conversion rate. It's nearly there. It's a lovely site, but you know you can go on improving it forever. But these are some small things which should have a big effect. So just loaded the page up. The bot came up straight away. I think you're going to change that anyway because it does come up too soon. Um, I'd also like to point out that I'm looking at this on my large screen. I'm also just going to check if this is recording. Yes, it is. Okay, so um, yeah, it's on my large screen. So as you notice the other day on the laptops and smaller aspect ratios, sometimes you won't see everything. In fact, even on my large screen, because of aspect ratio, these are cut off towards the bottom of these images. So um, we spoke the other day about these images being important because they call out your, you know, I'm just going to close this Mikey the Monkey thing, which hopefully won't be there in the future unless I've gone like that to move. But yeah, these things are great because they call out your audience, and you're not, they're the only thing that does call them out at the moment, and potentially forever if you don't think it's worthwhile doing separate pages. So it's great to have these higher up. You may then want to make them slightly smaller, just so we don't take up as much of the very valuable above the fold real estate. Maybe 75% of the size. You can make that work. And it doesn't matter if that means there's a gap a larger gap in between each one. But that's your choice basically. But it's great to get those up there somewhere to call them out. But you are then running out of space. This title is very important. There's a few things I'd strongly recommend changing about this because at the moment most people aren't reading it or finding it very difficult to read. And it's a good title, so I'll go through that in a sec. But yeah, you want to move these pictures up to the top somewhere. Um, maybe get rid of the animation unless you're going to turn it into a button, or maybe ask them to save the animation but change it into a still, because at the moment when you hover over it, it looks like you should be able to click on it. Or if you're going to do that, then make a little pop-up when you click on something saying scroll down to find out how to take us for your live sound event or whatever. But the easiest thing would just be to make it a still. So up here, you've got a lot of real estate used with this header, which I'd strongly recommend repurposing because your buffer filled space is valuable. So first of all is get rid of these icons, totally unnecessary. In fact, you don't want people click on this. What you want them, you've not got a content marketing strategy set up and working fully. What you want really is people taking your call to action, which is call us or email us. And on that note, you also want this at the top as well. So you want these to call out the market, and you definitely want a call to action either above the header or straight beneath the header, so we can see straight away how to do it. On mine, I tend to put them right at the top above the header. Another, I don't know if you'd make the logo smaller then, or so if you got rid of these buttons, your header's half the height then. You don't need all this top space. So you could then either move this logo down so that half fits in the header and half fits over the black bit, or you could just make it smaller. The other option you've got with a header, I just wanted to show you this, is actually getting rid of it altogether and making it into a burger menu. And if you do that, you do need to say the word menu. That has quite an effect on people actually recognizing what it is. But people recognize this now, especially if it says menu. And when you just click on it, it comes up with your menu, That would also then give you the option of having your call to actions in that bar when the menu is closed. And when you click on it, the call to actions vanish and your menu appears. And then you can close that and go back to call to actions. So that would look a bit sleek. I don't know how hard it would be for your guys to do that or not. That looks great, but saying you don't do that, I'd certainly recommend getting your call to actions in there somewhere and making this half a size at least. Then onto the header. I've just read it again, and it is a good header. I'd maybe the problem you've got at the moment is people being able to read it, and there's two main issues with that. One is that it's all capitalized, so you want to make it so that just the first letters are capitalized on each one, because when it's all capitalized, it actually makes it hard to read. So if the first letter is capitalized, it's easy to read. If it's all capitalized, it actually makes it harder to see. You know, I can't really explain why, but it does if you try yourself looking at some that aren't like that and some that are. So it'll be a lot easier for them to read if only the first letter's capitalised. And the second thing is, you need to distinguish it from a background somehow to make it a lot easier to read. So I'll give an example on Joe's site that we did. We've got we've just faded out the back and then put it in white. I suppose you could do it the other way around. You could, if you wanted it in white writing, you could fade out, put a dark shadow over you guys where the writing is. But I don't know how you do it basically, but and you may decide not to do it, but it's certainly stopping people reading it at the moment. It's hard. People have to focus and say, what does that say, and lean forwards and actually really kind of concentrate to read it, because wherever there's a light bit behind, the font blends into it, and the title after the images, well, arguably over the images, the title is the most important part of a page. This is great, what it says on top. I'd make it a lot smaller. So this wants to be small, this wants to be small, because this is just a pre-header, just to qualify them. This is a bit of authority at bottom, but both of these want to be the same font size but smaller, and then leave this as the bigger one. That font size is probably about right. Just to make space, you can get rid of the word "we." That's just an irrelevant word. So if you could say, for example, just True Audio Artisans, then a dash instead of with, dash 35 years experience, and then a plus sign instead of and, all the equipment you need, and that should give you a bit more space up there. If your guys do this, and then you see you've got the option to narrow the width this is taking, so have it over 2 lines but closer to the center, which that'll happen anyway if you to this line if you reduce the font size, and on this one if you reduce the font size you should be able to get that on 2 lines as well. Just because people read in the center of a page these days, they've been trained through looking at mobiles for years to, it's hard for an eye to travel all the way along this, get to the end, and then the eye has to travel all the way back here and start reading again. So as daft as it sounds, it just makes it hard for people to read. You want them to see it immediately and easily. So that's that. You definitely want to keep your call to action underneath again as well, but like I said before, have it on top. Is there anything else? Just let me pause a second. I'll have a quick. No, that's all I can see for immediate, easy changes. It's up to you if you're doing, but those few little changes should make should be a big deal really. I'll possibly try and put my phone number up here somewhere. Although I'm guessing you've got this because they wanted to track calls, which is fair enough. And you'll have the callers button up here anyway. So yeah, I don't know how you'd fade out this without losing your picture, because it does work better with a white background than black writing. Maybe you do that, maybe you can see on here, we've got it on parallax so you can scroll down and see the picture. Maybe I could do that, but even with the white there, you can see the picture beneath still, so I don't know, you ought to think about that. And actually there is another thing. So yeah, the exit pop-up works really well. The exit, you've got a bot at the moment, so the pop-up, which is basically the same thing, possibly more effective though. So that works really well. On a mobile, you won't be able to have the exit intent, so you'll have to have it, whether it's scroll or timed, but just have it a bit longer than immediately. So they've had a chance to read. So they've had a chance when they've landed on there to identify themselves in these that are up the top, notice your call to action, and at least read your title, possibly your intro as well, before this pops up. And time yourself reading it if you want to know how long that is. The last thing I wanted to mention was mobiles, because at least 50%, if not more than half, of every single visit you get, whether that you're paying for it or SEO, is coming on a mobile now. So that's still a huge chunk of traffic on desktop, so you definitely want to optimize all this and that. But then you need to think about mobile, which is a totally different kettle of fish again.